Welcome back to Fireside Chats, week number 11 by the fire with SS Grandma and some special guests. Tonight we're kicking off summer. It's almost June, and we're getting a little anxious for the nice weather and the fun times. And Grandma's going to start off by telling us a recent vacation to the Great Barrier Reef and some of her favorite memories.
That was in 2007.
Sounds good.
Yep. 2007. I died. I went with Mark and his family to the Great Barrier Reef and Tahiti and what was it? The Blue Butterfly Island.
Blue Lagoon cruise.
So that was a lot of fun.
Close enough.
And I snorkeled and did everything they did. It was a lot of fun.
And this was all at a very young age of 86 years old.
Yeah.
We're taking you to special guests now, Uncle Mark and Aunt Christy. And they have some more vivid memories of some crochet needles that snuck onto the plane, dangerous weapons, and other things of that nature.
Well, traveling with Mom was just so pleasant, and getting through the first airport, no problem. And she had her crochet needles, and then when we had to go through the airport check again, they found that needle and took it away from her. And I felt bad because she wanted to crochet a little longer.
We had to look all over Australia for some more
We
crochet.
tried, yes. But this little lady was the greatest snorkeler. She is braver than most because I rely on my fins to give me, the support in swimming with all those fish. And Grandma, she said, these don't feel right. So she didn't want to wear the fins, but was able to, see the fish through the mask and the snorkel and had a really good time. And it's just so amazing to see a woman of her age getting out there and experiencing all the adventure in a beautiful area.
And Uncle Mark has some great memories as well of the snorkeling adventures with Grandma at age 86.
No, I don't.
You do, but
I was drinking.
Grandma's going to tell us about a story back in the times when Grandpa had his summer job at the brewery, making beer.
No, it wasn't making beer. He was
drinking it.
drinking it. No. Well, it was a nice summer job for the coaches because they'd work so long and then to get a beer break. So they loved it. Because if you were a teacher, you loved to get a job in the summertime because you weren't paid. No money coming in once you stopped teaching until October. From June till October, you were without a salary. And Grandpa would always find some other work. So he loved that job because he liked to drink his beer.
They let him drink at the brewery while he was
Every hour,
working?
They'd be moving all the cases and loading the trucks, and they'd give them a beer break. They'd all have
A little different from
beer.
today.
Back to loading the trucks again.
Did it get a little sloppy towards the end?
Time he worked an hour loading all those boxes, why it was pretty well used up, I'm sure. If it was Grandpa, your grandfather never showed any type of a liquor effect in his whole life. You'd never know he'd had a drink. He had a good head for it.
To make a little more side cash, you played some pro ball during the summers?
He played, when they started the first LA team, they called it the LA Bulldogs. And he got on the team as a guard. And that was great because he got, guess how much? $100 a game. So for the 8 weeks of the season, that was an extra $800. Since he was only making $1,800 a year, that was pretty nice. And I take the kids, and usually it was at Long Beach Stadium or Gilmore or something like that in LA. And then once a year he'd go to Hawaii, and he'd get to stay a week over Thanksgiving, playing each Saturday, and then come back home. Of course, I never got to go to that. But
And so,
he enjoyed playing parabol.
and they were called the LA Bulldogs before they became the LA Rams.
Yeah, then the Cleveland Rams came and bought them out. And of course, since he was 30 years old by then, they didn't take him. And he thought of going to Canada and playing, but I said, no, I think it's time to stay home. So he listened to me and did. Of course, by then he was also partly coaching at the high school along with his teaching at Gardena. So it all worked out. But Grandpa played football in high school, college. He was on the PT boat team, which was tops in the nation when he's on R&R. And then he played pro ball. And then he coached football. So you see, he liked it. And when he was asked to play football in high school, he looked at the coach and said, "What's that?" Because he'd only played baseball. And when he found out what it was like, he loved it. He was even a quarterback one year, I think.
One thing that all of us love to do in the summer is go up to Mammoth Lakes. And one of your friends, the Johnson family, as we hear it from Uncle Mark, is there's some good story. The Johnsons were city folk, and you brought them to the hot springs, and it was a new experience for them. Tell us a little bit about that.
Mark reminded me of that. The hot springs, to get to them, you had to walk across ice cold water, really icy cold water, and then you'd get to the hot springs. And you better have tennis shoes on because those hot jets coming up from the earth would burn your feet. And so to get there, when we found it, you had to climb practically down the mountain into this little valley where the hot creek was. And we found it when we were building the cabin and didn't have a shower or anything. So after a day's work, we'd drive, climb down the mountain, and take a bath in the hot creek, and then climb back out, and everybody would be worn out, and the kids in the back of the truck, and go home and go to sleep. So one year, the Johnsons were visiting us. He became school superintendent in LA eventually. Very smart guy, very nice both of them. But they weren't really used to the outdoor life. And but they were good sports and enjoyed it. And Monday had made a coverall for the girls to get dressed after they climbed out of the pool. The guys would just go behind a rock and take their shorts off and put others on, but the girls didn't feel like doing it. So it was sort of a coverall, like a handkerchief, and you'd put it over your neck, and then you'd take your wet bathing suit off underneath and dry up, and then put your clothes on. Well, Oma Lee, for some reason, she had her bathing suit off, was struggling to get dried, and all of a sudden it went off her shoulders and dropped to the ground. And she quickly turned toward the strangers instead of us. And later on, we were all teasing her. Said, "Here we are, your friends, and you turned toward those people." And Mark remembered that. He would.
There's lots of great stories at Hot Creek, and you can't go there anymore. But one story I remember is when we were there, and all of a sudden it started thundering and lightning, and we're like, "Oh, should we be in here?" And it just felt so good. We didn't want to get out, you know. And we were with Parker and Madison, and we had this raft. And all of a sudden, it started hailing golf balls. And so all these people said, "Can we get under your raft with you?" And so everybody's trying to get under our raft with us. And those hailstones were so big that they popped the raft. And also on the sides of the hills there where we put our towels, it started raining so hard after that, and then all our towels were all wet. And
The mud came down the hills and covered over the towels, so we couldn't even find our towels when we got out.
but it was so
And
fun.
all of Hot Creek turned mud colored.
And we're just so sad now that we aren't able to go down there and have these experiences and make more memories there, because it really is a beautiful place.
No more jets to burn your feet or golf ball hail to
Well,
destroy your rafts. So sad. The government takes everything. It's all closed down now. You'll never see it, but you'll get the stories with Grandma by the fire. Yeah, then the Johnsons never came back, I'm guessing. Is that their last trip to Mammoth?
Well, probably was. By then he was pretty big muck-a-muck in LA, and they didn't have time to go camping with us anymore. But we stayed good friends till the end. I think they're both gone now. He was a young teacher when Stan met him, and one day he was complaining to Stan about something, and he couldn't get the vice principal to listen to him. And Stan said, "I'll tell you what you do. You go in there and you just pound on his desk and tell him what you want." And Bill looked at him and says, "Okay." And he did, and that vice principal backed right off.
You taught him how to get rough out there at the hot springs. Showed him how to do it. I like it. So we're almost here to summer, and we'll continue the Fireside Chats with week number 12 next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.